Some people never break the cycle of abuse, but some who do go out intending to change the world. My guest today is the CEO of Difference Makers International and its infamous Who I Am Makes a Difference Blue Ribbon Ceremony. Through the organization and its ceremonies, Helice Bridges takes one person at a time and lets him or her know that their dreams and good intentions do make a difference. And with the attitude of paying it forward and a huge following, Difference Makers hasn't just changed lives, it has saved lives. We will have my interview with Helice and my public speaking tip of the week right here on Full Speech Ahead, right after this.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! We are free at last! Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. We've got to take the neighborhood back.
So my children will not be afraid to say the word AIDS when I am gone.
Each one of you has your own platform. Mine is a stage in a studio. Yours is wherever you are.
Welcome to Full Speech Ahead, the program where we look at communication in all its many facets with an emphasis on the spoken word. I'm your host, public speaking coach Milo Shapiro from publicdynamics.com. Before we get to my guest today on making a difference in the lives of others through honoring their goals and intentions, here's my public speaking tip of the week. Let's talk about ums and uhs and ahs. Yes, too many of them do become painful to listen to. So the best way to avoid them starts with an understanding of where they come from. We make these sounds to hold the floor, to not relinquish the control of the center of attention when we want to continue speaking, but we need a moment to think about what we're going to say next. So we make a sound so nobody else can interject, because after all, if we actually stopped, someone else would start speaking, right? Well, not necessarily, especially if you're the featured speaker and no one else wants to speak or expects to. So the best way to get rid of those ums and uhs is to be well versed in your materials so that you're not at a loss. Having excellent bulleted notes or a PowerPoint that leads you well through it can also make a big difference in your never feeling at a loss and never needing to fill time with sound. Once most of the ums are gone just from being prepared, if you're doing a good job, people aren't even going to notice the few you have left. They're just human. It's only if they're a pattern that people start to notice and get bugged by them. So if they aren't your pattern, they're easy to dismiss in an otherwise great program. So be prepared and don't stress the couple of uhs you make too much. Okay, on with this week's interview. My guest today is Helice Bridges, who's also known by many as Sparky, because basically she lights up the world. Helice is a speaker, trainer, and author, but is probably best known as the founder and CEO of Difference Makers International, and accordingly as the creator of the Who I Am Makes a Difference Blue Ribbon Ceremony. The Who I Am Makes a Difference blue ribbons have been used to honor our soldiers in the U.S. Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard. Helice has worked with the Arab and Jewish communities, the Israeli army, rival gang members, and even the abused and the abuser in the same room. This work earned her the Gandhi Nonviolence Award. The Who I Am Makes a Difference story was made into a television movie that aired nationwide on PAX TV. This story was made into a 6-minute photo movie that was #1 for 10 weeks on YouTube. More recently, on July 20th, 2013, Difference Makers International launched Igniting the Era of Acknowledgement, 1 billion people honored by the year 2020. And that's just one of the things we'll be talking about. So Helice, welcome to Full Speech Ahead.
I love that title. Well,
Thanks. Off the air, I was just saying to you, and I'm letting the listeners know, that I did a little bit of math and realized I know you for 22 years. That's how far back I even know you're doing this work. And you actually have been doing it longer than that, you were telling me?
about 30.
30 years. Oh my goodness. I saw you at a meeting way back then. You made an impact on me. Our paths have crossed a few times. I can't say we're close friends, but I think we're both fans of each other. And I've certainly
Absolutely.
followed you along the way at some of the things you did. So let's kind of go back into the 30 years ago. What motivated you to start Difference Makers International? Or was it not that then and it evolved into that?
Right. It wasn't that then. I was a millionaire. We had a home overlooking the ocean in Del Mar, California.
Nice.
Very successful in real estate, married, two gorgeous preteen sons. But what prompted me through this is that I was married to a very controlling, intimidating, verbally abusive, not physically, but verbally abusive husband who was a genius at business. But he sure knew how to tear me down, and I didn't know how to build myself up. I was, I had contemplated suicide almost on a daily basis, even though I was looking gorgeous. You know?
That's hard to imagine. It's hard
Yeah,
because the Helice that I know is so
Right.
positive and dynamic, and so that relationship must have slowly torn you down quite a bit over time.
Yeah, I think that people can't see from the outside what's going on in the inside. And inside, I mean, outside we can have a smile on our face, we can be very successful in our business or whatever we're doing. But inside there's this turmoil that I was feeling, and now I realize that it's a lot of people in our world that feel the way that I had felt at that time. But fortunately, I screamed to the heavens and got down on my knees and just sobbed one day. And I said, stop the world. I got to get off and find a place where people love each other. And I think that was a major turning point for me. I left my husband. I left my real estate career also.
Before you go on with that, I'm curious, because that's the kind of life-changing moment that is the
Right.
stuff of TV movies. Was it in that moment you said that's it and you packed, or was it a few months evolution? How did you go from the realization to really taking that kind of control of your life?
Okay, so this is what really happened. Down on my knees screaming, I heard a voice inside of me that said, you can't take your life. You're going to sing, dance, write, and have a musical on Broadway in New York City. So the process, what you just brought me back to, the process was this. I ran to my husband, who was reading the sports section, Sunday sports section, and I said, you know, I'd like to put my real estate career on the back burner, and I'd like to sing and dance and write and have a musical on Broadway.
I've never heard this story, and all the time I've heard you speak. This is amazing.
Right.
So I'm
And
sure
so-
his reaction was, that sounds great, huh?
Really. So he pretty much did what he had always done, ignore me completely. You know, he never pretty much spoke to me. So he rolled his eyes away from the newspaper, the sports section, rolled it up to the ceiling, paused for a moment, put his eyes down and continued reading and never said a word.
Wow.
But you know, like when you're a kid in a candy factory, you're like, whoa. So I ran to my next door neighbor, Margie, and I said, Margie, I want to sing and dance and write and have a musical on Broadway. And Margie said, what are you, crazy? You're too short. I'm 5 feet. You're too short to be a dancer. You're too old. I was 37. You're too old to be a dancer. My husband owns a publishing company, and the chances of you being a published author, you might as well forget it. And besides, you can't even carry a tune. And I thought, well, yeah, so can I get a coach? And but the conversation that made me angry, because my parents had always said, honey, anything you want to do, you could do when I was growing up, and yet here I was, a millionaire, very, very, you know, the tops in my world, in my work, and she could have said, wow, you know, that's a great idea, but she didn't. And I asked her, did she have a dream? And she said, yes. And I said, well, what is it? And she said, to make jewelry. And I said, well, how come you're not doing it? She said, well, because it costs too much, and if I don't sell it, my husband will kill me. And with that moment, a pivotal moment because I realized that even though we lived right on the ocean, I mean, we had money, her husband, we were successful people, but to get to another paradigm, that didn't look anything like what you were doing, and to hear somebody tell me I was crazy, I just took off and I raced down the bluff of the ocean and screamed and said, I've got to write. It's in my blood. The words keep pouring from my heart. I've got this pounding in my head. I am so ready to start. But the world looks at me and says, who do you think you are? And I look back with a belly laugh and I say, I'm going to be a star.
We'll be back with our would-be star and turned out to be star and learn more about how she is making a huge difference all over the world right after this.
Got photos that need improvement? Freshen your photo. Old family shots that have gotten damaged? Freshen your photo. Want someone or something removed from a picture? Freshen your photo. At freshenyourphoto.com, we turn the pictures you have into the pictures you want. Add muscle, lose weight, lighten face lines, whiten teeth, fix darker off-color shots. See before and afters from dozens of happy customers at freshenyourphoto.com. That's freshenyourphoto.com.
So before the break, we were talking about what led you to make a big difference in your life. How did this lead to you getting to the point where you were trying to make a difference in the lives of millions of others?
Well, the first thing I noticed is that I needed to make my dream come true and not listen to anybody else tell me I couldn't do it. So I auditioned for a musical comedy, and I didn't realize that I was auditioning with young people ages 17 to 23 who were professionals from Broadway in New York and Las Vegas stages. But I just showed up, and when it was my turn to sing, my body so proud, and I have buttons popping off of my, screeched out, starting here, starting now. I screeched out this song, and nobody applauded. I mean, they just stared at me. But I was so excited that I held my body so proud, and I have buttons popping off of my blouse. And I just looked at everybody, and they were blank faces. And I said, well, so how was I? And slowly they started to applaud, and pretty soon they applauded more. And they thought I landed the role because it was a musical comedy, and they thought I was a comedian.
Wow. So they thought it was an act you were putting on to impress them.
Yeah. And it was just, I was just so happy to be there. But here's the gift. The gift is that I learned how to go from real estate, which is competitive, to producing a musical, which was collaborative. Wasn't not a model that I had seen in my business world, where we all were helping each other. And I was so stimulated, and especially by younger people. I was very inspired. From that, I was a one-night show. It was produced for. They were meeting with the top director in the United States, and we worked for 3 months on rehearsal. But it was one-night show, and when that was complete, I realized I no longer wanted to be with my husband because it didn't. He was always so intimidating, and yet I was in this wonderful world of empowerment. I left him. I left my real estate practice. I can't tell you, it was a very spiritual moment, and I just watched the renewal application just float into the garbage can. I went, whoa. And I became co-chair of the San Diego Hunger Project. I decided I wanted to make a difference. And that was 30 years ago when that language wasn't available. Most people didn't say that. And I went and became a co-chair of the San Diego Hunger Project. I spoke to 50,000 people in 1980 about ending world hunger because 21 children were dying of starvation every minute, and they didn't have to. And within that process, the next milestone happened, the next powerful moment in my life, and that is people came up after I spoke at school assemblies or conferences, and they said, I'm starving myself. I just lost my job, or my wife has cancer, or my kids are on drugs, or people started to tell me all their problems. And I thought, I got enough problem myself. I'm going through a divorce, I don't want, well, I'm a funny woman. What do I need this about? But I really sat back to realize that I thought most people didn't have people that encouraged them like my parents did. And I created the Who I Am Makes a Difference blue ribbon, a simple blue ribbon, tangible, visible ribbon, blue with gold lettering. So I placed the ribbon above their heart and cheered them on for their dreams. And I gave them 2 extra ribbons and said, here, go find somebody to honor them, tell them how important they are, place a ribbon above their heart, cheer them on for their dreams, and give them the extra ribbon to pay it forward to honor another person. And then I also added the sound bing, B-I-N-G. I told them, I said, I'm going to take the spark from my heart and put it in your ribbon. So I put my index finger on the ribbon and I went bing. And I said, the bing is the sound of getting cheerleaders jumping for your dreams everywhere. And every time you hear a bing, you'll know that someone somewhere just got their dream.
Pretty sweet. So when I first saw you, it wasn't just you doing it for one person. It was you talking to a group, and we all did it to each other. And I got to tell you, that's 22 years ago. There's a pad holder. I've changed the pads sometimes. I still have that ribbon from 22 years ago. And every time it starts to get all wrinkly from being brustled up against things, I just take something heavy and put it on it so it flattens it out and looks kind of new again. And I could get a new one, but that's my ribbon. That's the one you put on me 22 years ago. So that's got importance. How did you go from I have this idea to just speaking to large groups and having this make a difference in people's lives?
The first 3 months I started to honor people. 35,000 people got honored. I just had a group of friends come over to my house, teenagers, grandparents, business people, and I gave them the blue ribbons and I said, go out, honor people and tell me what happens. Come back next week, tell me the stories. I want to know how this impacts people. And we really didn't have the 7-step ceremony that we have now, but people went out and they came back and they circled around in my home and they started to tell me how the blue ribbon ceremony ended the conflict in a restaurant between 2 old people who were married forever and they bickered. And so my friend went over, Rita, and she went over to their booth and said, I just want to honor your wife. She's wearing a beautiful hat and outfit, and I want to honor her with a blue ribbon. And she placed it above her heart and cheered her on for the dreams and gave her extra ribbons. And this old woman turns and says, Max, I always tell you what you do wrong, but today I want to tell you that who you are makes a difference because you always take me to lunch and we dress up and we've been married for 55 years. So I guess you're an okay guy.
Oh, man, I wish you had run into my grandparents. They could have really used you. When we come back, I'm going to ask you once again if you would share the story from Chicken Soup for the Soul and tell us how you managed to connect with those people who have gone on to make such an amazing difference in so many people's lives. So we'll be right back after this.
Not another boring conference.
Liven it up with IMPROVentures and the fun of improvisation. Check out motivational speeches and entertainment that get everyone learning through play and laughter. For smaller groups, Teamprovising is our teamwork and communication program with more feedback and fun. Plus public dynamics, keynotes, training, and coaching on public speaking skills. You can be more effective in front of groups. Learn more today.
IMPROVentures, 619-542-0761, or see videos at IMPROVevents.com.
We are back with our third and final segment with Helice Bridges from Difference Makers International. So tell, if you would, share the story. And I don't know how you got it into the Chicken Soup book, but the story has made a difference for so many people. I've heard other people tell your story because it's such a powerful one, but I want everyone to hear it from you.
Yes, and this story happened because with our blue ribbons, they were made available all over the world for people to buy it like Girl Scout cookies. And a teacher in New York, a high school teacher, got the ribbons, and she went up to each of her students, there are 30 students in her classroom, and she looked them in the eyes with her heart, and she told each of them how much they made a difference. She told them how much she valued them and cheered them on for their dreams. And then she gave them each 3 extra ribbons and said, go out and do a class project. Find somebody to honor them, give them a blue ribbon, place it above their heart, and pay it forward, and come back the following week and tell us what happened. that afternoon, one of the high school seniors went to a junior executive, and he honored him for helping him with his career planning, placed the ribbon above his heart and cheered him on and gave him a bing and gave him 2 extra ribbons and told him about the class project. And that afternoon, the junior executive went to his grouchy boss. The guy was a bully, but he looked at his boss, and he said, "Sir, you know, I have this blue ribbon for you, and you're a creative genius. I want to honor you for building this company and giving me a job." And he said, "Would you accept this gift?" And he placed the ribbon above his heart and cheered him on for his dreams. And passed along the last ribbon and said, "This boy is doing a class project. Would you honor somebody and come back and tell me what happens?" And the surprise boss said, "Well, sure." And he drove home in New York traffic that night thinking, who is he going to honor? Gets home, and he sits his 14-year-old son down on the sofa, and he says, every night I yell at you for not cleaning up your room or getting better grades in school. But tonight, son, I just want to tell you that who you are makes a difference and that I love you."
Oh.
And he places the ribbon above his boy's heart, and he says, "I'm going to, from now on, just cheer you on for your dreams." And the boy starts to sob, and he can't stop crying. He goes over to a drawer, opens the drawer, pulls out a gun, looks at his dad, and he says through his tears, "I was planning on committing suicide tomorrow, Dad, because I didn't think you loved me, and now I don't have to."
And just for the difference of knowing and being acknowledged, what a difference.
Exactly.
In some of the, can you imagine if the teacher had given everybody just 2 ribbons? The fact that it was 3 was what made the difference too. It's that paying it forward. Oh, wow.
You couldn't have predicted, and then of course it went back to the boss,
Mm-hmm.
who then transformed his whole business because he started honoring people. And of course the story got into Chicken Soup and then into a television movie. So it went from me in a home in California with 35,000 people honoring people, and you know it became viral. And after that, it went to 35 million over the years. And it's translated in 12 languages now, and we do programs for elementary, middle, high school, universities, businesses, military, institutions all over the world. We teach people how to see the greatness in people, how to end conflict in a minute or less, how to create a world of possibility, proactivity, and prosperity.
And now you want to bring this to
how to get there.
Billion people, not a million, but a billion people. How is that going?
Well, it's really going great because it takes a long time to go to the first 35 million and feeling strong enough to even say a billion. I couldn't do it, but I circled myself around with my advisory council, and in just about 3 months ago, and everybody sat around, and as I tried to say, we need to get it through the whole globe. We're translated in 12 languages. They said, "Didn't you have a dream of 300 million people being honored?" And I said, "Yes." And they said, "This is too small. Go for a billion." It's a tipping point for the planet, 1 out of every 7. And within quietly, I looked at them and I said, "Okay, we'll do it." And we just had a launch of that with world leaders just 2 weeks ago. And we put it out. And so people are joining on, connecting with us to do hundreds of thousands of people being honored as a co-creation, collaboration between people all over the world.
And such a simple thing to take a ribbon and pin it onto someone. I have to think that I've got listeners who are thinking, how can I bring this to my community, whether it's my school, my church group, my whatever it is, my neighborhood, even if they're not involved. So how can they be a part of making that happen?
The first thing I would suggest is to go to our website, and it's Difference Makers, DIFFERENCE, makersinternational.org. And go to the to the online store and order ribbons, and just begin. If the ceremony's in there, you'll know just exactly how to do it, and that'd be the first step. And then the second step is if you want to bring the program to your schools or your organizations or your communities or your businesses, give us a shout and call. We have many different types of programs that we can teach you via video Skype or travel to you, or even teach. We want to teach you how to teach in your own communities.
Which is critical because Helice is not going to be able to get to 1 billion people herself, so we need everybody listening to make that kind of a difference in the world. Helice, I want to thank you for being my guest today on Full Speech Ahead. I'm honored that you made the time for it.
It was brilliant, and I ended with a bing, B-I-N-G, and every time you hear a bing, know that somebody's smiling, looking at you, and saying who you are makes a difference. And your dreams can really come true.
I feel like you just recharged the one on my pad in the other room, so it's ready to take Bing to the world. I also want to let my listeners know that they can order those Who I Am Makes a Difference blue ribbons that Helice has been mentioning and learn how to bring this to their local groups, once again, by going to differencemakersinternational.org. And if you have more questions than their website answers, you can write them directly, info@blueribbons.org, or call their office at 760-753-0963. If you've enjoyed this episode, check out other interviews I've posted at fullspeechahead.com. You can also check out that same site about my coaching and training in public speaking for you or your team. And I'm also available for my team building course, Teamprovising, where we use games of improvisation to look at teamwork, creativity, and communication. And my motivational speeches on risk-taking get the whole audience playing along. More about all of that at IMPROVentures.com. And with that, I am Milo Shapiro, always moving full speech ahead. Till next time.
Full Speech Ahead is a production of Thrive Talk Radio, a collaboration of leaders broadcasting together as catalysts for change. We are committed to supporting your highest well-being through limitless possibility, vibrant health, conscious choices, and personal transformation. Our motto is Empowered Words, Empowered Lives. More on all of our varied programs at thrivetalkradio.com.
Not another boring conference.
Liven it up with IMPROVentures and the fun of improvisation. Check out motivational speeches and entertainment that get everyone learning through play and laughter. For smaller groups, Teamprovising is our teamwork and communication program with more feedback and fun. Plus public dynamics, keynotes, training, and coaching on public speaking skills. You can be more effective in front of groups. Learn more today.
IMPROVentures, 619-542-0761, or see videos at IMPROVevents.com.
Got photos that need improvement? Freshen your photo. Old family shots that have gotten damaged? Freshen your photo. Want someone or something removed from a picture? Freshen your photo. At freshenyourphoto.com, we turn the pictures you have into the pictures you want. Add muscle, lose weight, lighten face lines, whiten teeth, fix darker off-color shots. See before and afters from dozens of happy customers at freshenyourphoto.com. That's freshenyourphoto.com.